discussions, I wanted to let you know of a subscriber that contacted me that's going through some hard times, and he was wondering, he lives in Bahal, and he was wondering if anybody had old computer sitting around that he could have the hard drive out of. And if so, then could he also have what's called a RAM stick? I'm not a computer guy, so I don't really know what all that stuff means. But if you have any of that stuff lying around and you could spare it, contact me and maybe we can get it to him somehow. But his name's Steven, he lives in Bahal. So if you could do that for him, it seems like it would really give him a leg up. So anyways, been a good week. Really watched the channel kind of grow right before my eyes. Had some really good dialogue with the subscribers on those videos, and I felt like, hopefully some people learned some stuff. Hopefully people identified with some of the things that I had to say, and it was just in general a really positive kind of experience for me. So I just wanted to say thanks, and I appreciate everybody tuning in and commenting and subscribing. I think I gained about where I'm at now, so that's 300. I think I gained like 500 subscribers off of the 3 videos that I made this week. So that's a lot of subscribers for me. So I'm pretty pleased with those results. So hopefully that'll also be ongoing, and maybe those new people will also be regular viewers, which I hope for, and maybe these lives that I do on occasion will actually be more popping, more hopping, more jumping, so that would be good. So just living on the positive tip, right? Always got to be forward thinking, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, so but it really got me to thinking about a lot of things, and I was kind of surprised some of the reactions and some of the comments that I got, but then again, not so much, because there's just so much misinformation about pretty much every subject that there is, right? And especially something so complex as moving abroad and leaving your home country. I mean, there's so many different approaches to how you go about it. There's so many different opinions, and it can really run the gamut. It can be all over the spectrum and all over the board as far as what people think and what people know and what's right and what's wrong. There's always a middle road there, and some people only see black and white, and they can't see that there's wiggle room. And hopefully we can break down those barriers and show others that there's more than one way to do most anything. So yeah, so if you're watching out there, hit that like button, drop some comments, and let's try to get some dialogue going here. If you have any questions or anything you want to say, now's the time to say it, and I'm willing to answer as best I can. I'm always forthcoming, and always willing to engage. That's why I do these kind of things, because I wanna interact. That's one of the joys and pleasures I get out of YouTube, is having that interaction, especially when a video gets, for me, 7,000 views on that one video is a lot for me, and then all the comments keeps me pretty busy and pretty stimulated, so I dig it. I enjoy that. So if you're watching out there, say hi. let us know where you're from. And we only got 2 people in here right now, which is not a lot. Here in the Philippines, it's already after midnight, but I wanted to come on for the viewers abroad, because over there it's their morning time and it's the weekend. So I figured it would be a good time for those living, outside of the Philippines. And hopefully you can hear me. If you can't, I'll plug in the microphone. I'm just doing this open-ended. And everybody, my wife and kid are asleep, so I'm not really trying to be too loud. So if I need to plug in the microphone, let me know, and I'd be glad to do that so you can hear me better. But yeah. So I won't really go into much until we get a few more people, so that I don't have to repeat myself too much. We only have 1 person viewing, so it's been a while since I've done a live, so a lot of people aren't expecting me to. So when it's more consistent, then I tend to get more viewers on the lives. And I never announce it because, man, my life is just so, up and down as far as my hours and stuff with the kid. I never know, when I have time to do it or if I will have the time to do it. Like, man, last night he woke up at 4 a.m. and I've been up since 4 a.m. and now here it is after midnight, and already starting to creep in with the sleepiness. But I do this for because I like to. Hey, so we got a comment from Eastern Dreamer, and he says, "How's the weather in the Philippines?" Well, here in Cebu right now it's the rainy season, so which I like. It brings the temperature down a little bit, and it's less sunny. So having overcast is a nice change. We had 3 or 4 months here where it was like record heat, like unusual heat. They even closed the schools because it was so hot, and it didn't rain the whole time. Usually when it's not the rainy season, you still get some rain. It's the tropics, right? But for about 3 months it didn't rain at all, and let me tell you, everything was real dry, and the rainy season has been a welcomed change, so I like it. It's rainy, but it's good. It's still hot. And where are you from, Mr. Eastern Dreamer? Anyways, so so you're in Vietnam. Let's see here. Central Vietnam, originally from southern U.S., lived in California for a while for work. That's cool. I hear good things about Vietnam. I have a friend who actually lived in Vietnam for a couple years, and then he moved over to the Philippines, and he really kind of misses Vietnam for a lot of different reasons. The food, the prices, mostly the food and the prices. He misses that aspect of Vietnam as opposed to the Philippines. Also, you were here in Cebu about 5 years ago. Yeah, man. I mean, things are really changing fast. It's a lot different now than it was even then. And I imagine, 5 years from now, it'll be hard to recognize Cebu and a lot of other places in the Philippines. It's just social media is changing so much, so fast. It just moves like wildfire. So, um, yeah, man. I mean, come on and visit as soon as you can. It's a great place, as you know, because you've already been here. But yeah, I mean, you're already in Vietnam, and it's pretty awesome there too. Just kind of the liberal. Sorry, Eastern Dreamer asks. Aside from the prices, what are you noticing is different? The mentality. Um, the Filipinos are becoming a little bit more liberal, a lot more introspective. I've met a lot of people who are 10 years ago when I came here, it was you were hard pressed to find somebody that wanted to have like a deeper kind of conversation, and and I'm noticing more and more where I go places that people are wanting to engage me on deeper subjects like politics, and I don't talk about Filipino politics because I'm not supposed to, but they want to talk about American politics, like the whole Trump and Biden thing, and I'm just like, what? It's kind of surprising, but mostly the mentality and the more modernism. Um, we got another guy, Charles, comes in from northern Wisconsin. Hey, Charles, thanks for stopping by. Feel free to hit that like button, and we're in an engaging kind of dialogue here. Um, so Eastern Dreamer brings up kind of a good question slash possibility. Do you think the pandemic lockdowns pushed people to do more investigating online? I know that I've heard that since there was nothing to do but be on your phone, it exposed people a lot more to things on online, on Facebook and on YouTube. So it's very well possible that could be a factor, and more than likely. It just seems I've even had somebody tell me that while that was all going on, they were online more, and they had nothing else to do, so they watched stuff that they normally wouldn't watch, and learned a lot from it. So I think you're on the mark there. Charles says he's got friends in Palawan, and they're camping in your pine forest all summer. Wait, so you have property in Palawan and you have friends staying there? Is that what you mean? Um, um, Yeah, but Eastern Dreamer, you would think, right, that when you have all that beautiful, unique kind of environment, that it would be less appealing to gravitate towards um, other sources. But it's kind of like, I lived in Oregon, and Oregon is famous for its beautiful forests and trees, and I lived there my whole life, and driving by, and it just became kind of old hat, like just something you always see. But then I'd have people come to visit me from like New York and Philippines and other places, and they'd just be astounded by the beauty of the pine trees and the forest that was there. And to me, I was just used to seeing it all the time. I of course still appreciate it because I'm kind of a nature lover myself. But the same token, I wasn't, awestruck in the sense that they were literally everywhere we went. Um, Idaho's cool too, especially the eastern part of it. well, not necessarily the eastern part because that's still kind of deserty, but there's some beautiful places in Idaho too. And I love Idaho because there's a lot of gold there, untapped gold. So I got to go there a couple times and do some prospecting. So I I like Idaho. Yeah, I was curious about this pine forest that Charles referred to, but I think he might have left. Not very hopping in here, but I appreciate the dialogue, Eastern. You sound like a really introspective kind of cerebral dude, so it's welcoming to have that kind of engagement. Refreshing. Oh, he said, I don't know. So we got 3 people in here. Better than 0. Oh, absolutely. Different perspectives, you know, are, what broaden your horizons, um, expand your own opinions sometimes, you know. I'm in Wisconsin, live on a lake. Yeah, we got that you were in Wisconsin, but you said your friends were in Palawan, living in the pine forest, so we got a little bit confused by that, I think. That's nice that you live on a lake there. That must be a beautiful place to live. Oh, okay, gotcha. So your friends are there with you from Palawan. Oh, cool. Yeah, that must they must love it. Um, it must be totally um, complete contrast to what they're used to. Gotcha. Hey, what's up, Aussie? Um, what's up in the Philippines? Oh man, I don't know. That's a loaded question. There's always something awesome about the Philippines, man. I love it here, and I wouldn't want to live anywhere else. But welcome, Ozzy. Glad to have you on board. It's after midnight here in the Philippines, um, and they say it's more fun in the Philippines, and I'd agree with that statement 1,000 times over. Um, but you can have fun anywhere, I suppose. But um, scandalous Philippines, I miss so much. So you've been to the Philippines before, I take it. And Charles, you're planning to sell your property and come over here. I that would be fantastic. I know in certain areas of the states, property values have skyrocketed. So hopefully you get a nice chunk of change and you can come here and live your best life. And I mean, Palawan is phenomenal. I've never personally been there, but I know many people that have. I've seen all the videos, and if you're gonna live somewhere, in paradise, why not Palawan? Although there's some awesome places in Mindanao. I just recently went to Dapitan and Dipolog up in Mindanao. A lot of people say um, they don't want to go to Mindanao because of all the, the government warnings of the terrorism and stuff like that. But in the northern part of the island, there's none of that. Like literally none of that. I was in Dipolog for the most of my trip, and I only saw like one or two people wearing traditional kind of Muslim garb, and I've seen many more of not many more, but I've seen more of that here in Cebu. And the town was had like biblical scriptures, so you knew that it wasn't really Muslim kind of. It wasn't identifying with the Muslims, so significantly far removed from all that. I think 5 hours away was the closest place where they had terrorism kind of situations. So Dipolog was fantastic, and everything was so much cheaper there. So, and they even have some world-class beaches there too, like Palawan. But it's up to you, man. I mean, if you get a good chunk of change and you want to live in, a kind of more touristy area, then Palawan would be fitting that bill. I love Dipolog. Dapitan, I was there just I was up in the mountains, kind of on the outskirts of it, and I didn't really get to see much of it. But like I said, I spent more time in Dipolog, and I loved Dipolog. I thought it was fantastic. I would love to move there. I mean, everything is just more affordable. It's clean. Cebu, is a little bit dirty. The air is kind of polluted. In Dipolog, they actually have like people that clean the streets every morning. There's no garbage anywhere, and it is just a really beautiful city. Well maintained. People super friendly. Had one of the best carinderias that I've ever had in the Philippines. They're right there in downtown Dipolog, right near the boardwalk, or the boulevard they call it, but it's a boardwalk that runs across the ocean. It's right there, 1 block away, and it was absolutely fantastic food, and cheap, really affordable. Yeah, exactly. Eastern Dreamer. They produce the fish. I mean, here down in Cebu, I always buy a fish called barillas. Up there, they call it. I forget what they call it. I think they just call it tuna up there. But down here or up here or whatever in Cebu, we pay about 200 a kilo for the same fish that in Mindanao they're paying 100. And mangoes always are like 60 to 65 per kilo. And here in Cebu, they're only that low when there's an abundance of them. But typically it's like 100 plus per kilo of mango. Bananas, everything was significantly cheaper in Dipolog, in Mindanao. So, really, really liked it. Not just for the prices, but all those other things like the cleanliness and yeah, it was great, absolutely great, loved it. Ozzy's been to Boracay. I never know how to say that. Nice beaches, absolutely. I've personally never been there, but of course I've seen videos, and I know many people that have been there lots of times and just want to keep going back. Me, I'm not so much of a tourist, and I don't like going places where there's a lot of foreigners. So, not to say I wouldn't go to Boracay, but I wouldn't want to. I don't think I would want to live there. I'm not sure about that, but definitely the prices are the icing on the cake, and seeing something different, absolutely. And yeah, I always say it on my videos, which is I didn't come here to hang out with foreigners. It's great, to have foreigners, and I do have some foreigner friends, and it's nice, to have that contrast where you can actually talk to somebody. And it's not to say that you can't talk to Filipinos. A lot of them speak decent English, but you find that even still they speak some English. A lot of things get lost in translation. So it's nice to have the occasional interaction with somebody who does speak your native tongue. And occasionally, but I don't seek it out and I don't look for it. And I'm not really ever too terribly hungry for it. Occasionally I am. After a couple of years of very limited discussions with people, I will have them. But my neighbor, the guy I rent this apartment from, he's from Reno, so we talk a lot. And then there's another guy that lives down the road. He's from Alabama, I think. I don't know, he's really into Leonard Skinner, and he always talks about it because they're from where he's from. So wherever Leonard Skinner's from, that's where he's from. So he's a cool guy. I like talking to him sometimes. Yeah, I mean, Cebu's got everything you need. I don't necessarily enjoy Cebu City proper because of the traffic and all of those things that go along with it. But where I live is fantastic. It's right outside Cebu City, Cordoba. They built that new bridge that goes across the ocean, and you can get over into Cebu City in, well, it's 8.5 minutes, but 8 to 10 minutes, whatever, and you're right there at SM Seaside, which is the largest mall, one of the largest malls in Cebu City. So over here in Cordoba has everything that you need. I talk about it all the time. Don't mean to be repetitive, but Cordoba is fantastic because it's so close to everything, and but it's a smaller kind of vibe. I made a video this morning, and I'm showing the traffic going by, and it's a Saturday, and it's right outside Cebu City, and there's no bumper to bumper, nothing like that, and that's typical of Cordoba. So I think you're talking about the old bridge across into Mindauno, and yeah, that whole area is super congested. And what's cool about the new bridge is, it's a toll bridge, so a lot of people don't want to take it because it costs, I think, 90 pesos to get across. So it's a streamlined shot, real quick to get across. Yeah, I enjoy having a channel, just for the stimulation, because as a foreigner, not able to work, not able to do certain things, and so the channel gives me an outlet, gives me something to do, and like today I worked on this stupid video. I made 5 different cuts of it, 15, 25, 30 minutes per, and I was outside in the heat, for hours and hours, only to settle on, some stupid version, and I just got sick of it, and I'm like, I'm gonna upload something, and after all that effort, but yeah, it's a good outlet to have a channel. And Ozzy says Philippines are nice, but it takes time to find a good one. But I like crazy. I think you're talking about Filipinas, well, I mean, there's a lot of crazy ones. Just go on to all the dating sites and you're more than likely to find one of those. That's for sure. I'm not exempt from finding crazy ones. My first major relationship with the Filipina was a crazy one. They're all over, but there's crazy ones in every part of the world. Big time. Big time. Are you Big Shot Travel by chance, or are you affiliated with? Anyways, this big time guy's been trolling my channel, so I apologize, but I don't delete people and I don't censor people. So unless this guy gets really obnoxious, I won't block him. But he tends to like want to stick it to me for some reason. But big time says go to work. What do you do besides play around with your camera and stalk vloggers? Oh man. What do I do? Man, all kinds of stuff. And who cares what it is? What do you do? What do any of us do? The point is that we're enjoying our lives and we're content. And that's a really hard place, hard position to find yourself in. And that's where I found myself in. So you can judge me all you want and have your preconceived notions and your ridiculous opinions, but it doesn't matter. He's asking the hard questions. Bro, you ain't asking any hard questions. You're just making these blanket statements that are insulting or trying to be insulting with multiple typos and terrible grammar. So it's almost funny to allow you to expose yourself for your lack of wit and ability to type properly. I'm trolling you now. Hey man, whatever. I didn't come. I didn't bring you here. You're here. And by the way, again, there's another one of your lack of grammatical astuteness with your. You need to put a E at the end and apostrophe after the U. I don't mean to nitpick, but I mean it's really indicative of somebody who actually pays attention to what they type. Good evening from Steven. Hi Steve, I asked about your hard drive and your RAM stick in the very beginning of this live stream. So hopefully somebody bites on that for you. Do you have a college degree? Man, maybe. Hey, no problem, Steve. No, that's a big fat maybe. How did you get down to Mindanao? Ferry or flight? I took the ferry, which I'd never done before, and I kind of wanted to see what that experience would be like. And the ferry there was a heck of a lot better than the ferry home. The ferry there, I didn't, never done it before, so I just kind of flew by the seat of my pants on it. Had a hard time getting tickets online. Went down to the office, couldn't really get a ticket, and had to juggle this stuff and keep going online and seeing if there was a ticket available because they were all sold out. Finally got tickets, and we ended up taking whatever we could get, and we had aircon, reclining seats, and the ferry, it was Starlight, had a nice restaurant that was open the whole night, and a lot of cool people. So very enjoyable, nice and cool. But on the way back, I took this other company, which I don't want to name and shame because people get like in trouble for defamation or whatever. I saw some guy like get deported for talking bad about a company a couple months back. So anyways, the trip back was a nightmare. It was all open air. There was no aircon. They had like a few rooms that you could rent, but that had aircon, but they were all fully booked. So you were at the mercy of just sleeping in this open area or staying in this open area with like hundreds of bunk beds of hundreds of however many people, massive amounts of people, lots of people. And where we were situated on the ferry was right next to the engine room. So the bunk bed that we were in, you could reach your hand out and touch the wall, and the wall was so hot that if you kept your hand there, it would burn it. That's how hot the engine was, and it was just radiating heat. I literally thought that I was going to die. It's probably the worst experience that I've had. Um, Probably the worst experience that I've had in the Philippines in all my years, just because I thought I was going to pass out the whole time. So I didn't sleep. And I don't sleep on planes. I'm no good at sleeping around a bunch of other people. It comes from, my old days of, sleeping with one eye open. And, but it was stressful, but at the same time, it was just another experience. It was another Philippines experience, and I learned, what not to do. When I went to downtown Dipolog, and they have, 3 or 4 different ferry companies, and I was trying to speak, the language, and it turned out that had I known, a little bit more Bisaya, I would have not taken that ferry, but unfortunately things got lost in translation. It actually ended up going all the way to Dumaguete first before, and they asked me, do you want to go to Dumaguete or do you want to go to Cebu? There's 2 different ferries, and so I said, well, I want to go to Cebu. Well, the ferry that went to Dumaguete, I watched everybody board it, and then the other ferry was called to Cebu. Well, to Cebu with a sidetrack all the way to Dumaguete. So, and then we had a layover of like 3 hours in Dumaguete. No, terrible experience. Not recommended. Didn't enjoy it. But I learned from it. Ozzy's from Miami. Miami is also hot and humid, but knowing many Floridians that have come here, they're always surprised at how much more brutal the weather is here than Florida, which I would never know because I've never been to Florida. Votes to bring the Baggio back to Mindauno. Had the crack spelling. Crack on the spelling, genius. Yeah, Baggio is spelled with a J and not a D-G-E-O. Sound like a... Anyways. Not enough time to get out into Dumaguete, but too long to be happy just sitting. Exactly, yeah. I asked, I'm like, because there was no food on that ferry. That was the sucks part. There was nothing to drink. It was so hot, and I didn't come equipped. I saw all these Filipinos, and they kept pulling stuff out of their bags. So they knew, evidently, that the canteen was going to be closed. So they had bottles of water in their bags. They had food, in tinfoil and all this stuff prepared. And we didn't know any of this crap. So we were literally, my mouth was like dry. And so when we got to Dumaguete, I said, hey, are we allowed to leave? And the guy's like, no, you have to stay on board. You're not allowed to leave unless you're exiting and not coming back. And clearly I wasn't. I was onward to Cebu. So it was kind of a drag. So the whole time, I spent a lot of time out on the poop deck or whatever they call it, There were some tables out there, and there was more of a breeze. My wife and kid, they stayed in the hot, scorching furnace of a sleeping area, but I kept going back to where the wind would blow. So, yeah, I don't know. I can't speak on the temperature comparison of Florida to the Philippines, and you can because you've been to both places. So, everything's a learning experience, and being negative gets you nowhere anyways. To me, I'm always ultra stimulated by the Philippines and the vast contrast to where it is that I'm from. So regardless of whether it's a comfortable situation, if I'm waiting in line at some government office for 3 hours everybody around me is different. The language and the things that people talk to me about is just new and vibrant and different. Even though I've been here for many years, it's just always something different and something stimulating. So I find positivity in all of it, no matter what. Frank, hi from Southwest Florida. I just found your channel and I like what you're saying about the incompetent person that is trolling you and being grammatically incorrect. I'm meeting my LDRFW girlfriend in October. That's awesome, Frank, and I hope that goes well for you. And just use your wits and be observant and slow your roll. That's all I can really say. I'm sure you're taking your time and you know what you're doing in that regard. But I've seen too many dudes fall prey to the speed of it and then regret it down the line. So do your due diligence and you'll be, on the right path. Philippines the Filipinos are super resilient, and I got massive amounts of respect for them, and how they break through all the adversity and maintain an uplifting, positive attitude throughout everything. It's impressive. It's much different than in the States where everybody's just disgruntled. So big time split because I'm too negative for them. Oh man, that sucks. Frank, subscribed and liked. Thank you. Appreciate it. Have you been to Patagon City in Mindanao? No, I don't think, unless the bus went through it. But I think that's in a different region of where I was from. The ferry I took dropped us off in Dapitan, and then from there we went into the mountain kind of area of Dapitan, just outside of Dapitan. And then after we left there, we just went to Dipolog. So I'm not sure exactly where Pagadian City is. So I can't say if I definitely didn't stop there. I know that. Might have driven past it or through it, but I don't think so actually. But Mindanao is great. People hear Mindanao and they just avoid it, which I think is a shame, because like I was talking to some Filipinos there, and they're like, we would love for them to come visit us, and I got a little deeper into it, and they're like, tourism dollars really help, and so they would love to have that economy stimulated, and let's face it, we've got a way, we have the means to stimulate the economy, so. Yeah, and the foreigners that I met there were like, because I was vlogging, and they kept saying, man, don't tell people about how great this place is. We don't want them coming here and ruining it for us. So, yeah, very common gripe, but, a little bit facetious in that regard, but a little bit serious too. But I would totally put Mindanao on my possibilities of places that I would eventually set roots someday, because eventually I hope to buy land somewhere in the Philippines, for my wife and kid, in my wife and kid's name, not mine, and so they can have something, when I'm gone or whatever. And it's either Mindanao, Masbate, that region, those regions, I should say. You hired a virtual assistant okay, and then went over to meet him. That's how I was introduced to the Philippines, and to Mindanao specifically. Oh, that's cool. That's an interesting pathway to have came to the Philippines. It's pretty cool. Frank says his girlfriend is from there and owns 1.5 hectares of good land with electric and water. We may build a house there. Nice. That's cool. I don't know how old you are, but me personally, I kind of think the whole house build can be super duper expensive and a huge headache. But you know, if you've got the time and the money and the patience to deal with all that stuff, then by all means, go for it. But I think for me personally, if I was gonna have a house, I'd want to buy some existing structure already, like a house that's already been built. But who knows? Aussie's heading to Thailand, but he will visit the Philippines. Thailand sounds fantastic. Philippines is also fantastic. It's all a win-win right there, my brother. I think Thailand is a little bit more forward-thinking than, yeah. So hopefully, you know, things catch up. Hey, Mossback, what's up, dude? And thank you for the support. Have I visited other countries in Southeast Asia? Well, I've visited places, but only short stints, like Korea, Korea, and crap. I don't know. Wherever I had layovers, sometimes, a couple of times over the years, I've stayed there for a couple of days, but it's all just kind of escaping me right now. Sorry. But no, my focus is long term. Any more than, you know, any of the other places I've been is like overnight stays, but never stuck around anywhere. Philippines only. Steve built his own house there. He uses family to build it for a good price. And Ben is here. Hello, Ben. Taiwan. Yeah, thank you. Overnight, Taiwan. And that was years ago. Maybe 10 years ago, in fact. But hello, Ben. Good evening, good morning, wherever you're at. For me, it's almost 1 a.m. So, but it's all good. Aussie's traveled to Laos, Cambodia. Favorite ladies are from Laos or Lao. Never been there. I'm sure they're fantastic. Man, there's a lot of Floridians up in here tonight. Well, not a lot, but there's 3 of you guys here currently, right now. You're the 3rd. So, that's cool. You guys all got that whole Florida thing in common. I spent the last year in Thailand and enjoyed it a lot. I could see myself living there, but want to try the Philippines for a while. Well, I tell you, you know, I know a lot of people that have gone back and forth, and one of my good friends was living in Thailand, trying to vlog there. Loved everything about it, but he wanted to maybe grow his channel a little bit, and he wasn't having any success in Thailand because the Philippines is way more popular as far as a vlogging kind of thing. He was here for 2 weeks, and he absolutely hated it in comparison. The food, the infrastructure, all those common things that people compare and contrast, you know. And he ended up leaving before 1 month. Went back to Thailand. Jacksonville, Florida. Matthew just got back from a 6-month trip to the Philippines. Fantastic. That's a nice chunk of time to spend outside the matrix, as I like to refer to it as. The United States I'm not a huge fan of it anymore, and I'm glad to be far removed from it. So it's good to hear that you had a nice big break. And yeah, there's a definite similarity to the climate, that's for sure. Well, I mean, I suppose it can be a task to navigate, but now with the internet and stuff, it made things significantly easier. So you got that cell phone handy and a SIM card or a Wi-Fi connection. You can, I mean, you're a smart guy. I'm sure you could pull it off if you had to in a pinch. So, what is that? Everil says, wait a minute. Everil asks, so it would be no problem living there with $1,000 a month. They always say that you will be suffering there if not $1,500 a month coming in. Well, I don't know if you watched my video on that exact subject, but I don't have a problem with it. But I am a different sort of person. If you have, your Western needs, then you can't do it. If you don't, and you can adapt to the situation and live more like a local person, and I say more like because obviously with that amount of money you're going to be making a higher wage than the average local. If you can adapt to the differences and not be dependent on your Western products, then yeah, you can absolutely do it. And unless you have a big family or something like that. If you've got multiple people you're trying to support on that money, then of course it's going to be more difficult. But if it's just you and a girl or something like that, and you're not wasting your money too much on your rent and your foods, which your foods and your rent are the two biggest things that can drain you. And if you have a car, then forget about it. You can't do it on 1,000. It would be extremely difficult. I mean, maybe you could do it, but it would be really, really tight. So stay out of the grocery stores, ride tricycles, ride jeepneys, and keep your monthly keep your monthly rent down, and it's totally doable. So Mossbeck says food in Thailand and Taiwan are much better than the Philippines. Our family and many friends in Cebu, so no contest. Yeah, I mean, the food here is nothing to super duper brag about. A lot of pork, and they use a lot of oil to cook literally everything. I mean, I'm a bigger guy, right? But when I came here, I thought, as in the past when I'd come here, if I was a little bit out of shape, I would drop the pounds like super fast. But this time around, I always go into this Carinderia down the road from us, and I'd get, what I assume to be healthy stuff, veggies, and isda, which means fish. Things like that, low fat kind of stuff. Well, one time I didn't eat all of the veggies that I bought from the Carinderia, and I put them in my refrigerator, and then the next day I went to pull them out to eat them, and there was all this congealed, not fat, but the oil had hardened, and it was just massive through these vegetables. And I've been eating there 6 months straight, buying these veggies, and little did I know I was consuming like a quarter cup of oil with, one little serving size of vegetables every time that I ate there. So it's no wonder why I wasn't losing any weight, eating that crap. So a lot of oil. They put MSG, they call it magic syrup, in literally everything. So if you want to control that crap, cook at home to avoid all of that junk. Frank says, I plan on renting a 2-bedroom, 2-bath house, fully furnished for 3 months in Pagadian for $40,000 a month, plus utilities. It rents daily for, wow, that's a lot, bro. That's a lot of money, man, for 2 bedroom, 2 bath. What is it like? Have a infinity pool and everything's super modern or something? I mean, that's expensive. 40K. Wow. Um, Love the Philippines even with all the issues. It's best for us. Yeah, I told. Hey, thanks Mossbeck for the sticker, I guess you call it. I don't know. That's only my third one, and the other ones came like a couple months ago, so I forget. I don't even know what they're called, but I think it's a super thanks. But thank you, brother. Thank you. I appreciate that. You know, now if I start making money on YouTube, which by the way I haven't made money on YouTube yet. You have to make the $100. Um, uh, which I've made, but I haven't gotten the payments. Had a problem with the transfer. Anyways, but hopefully I will become a viable YouTuber and I will start making a little bit of dough at it. But thank you, brother. That's awesome. I really, really appreciate it. Philippines would be good if the food was good. Yeah, I mean, the food is lacking. That's for sure. It's definitely lacking, and but you can cook your own stuff here, and that enables you to do whatever you want. Like I go to the market, I buy shrimp or whatever, and I can cook scampi. I can cook whatever I want with it. Make a sauce. That's more Western. I do like a hybrid kind of version, an infusion of Western, Filipino, blah blah blah, Thai, kind of cuisine. So, yeah, right, Matthew. I was a little bit taken aback by the price on that. It must be really really posh. Ozzy says he could not live like a local, like his condos and food and rail. Island hop and suck. No, I could not live like a local. Okay, read that. Ben says, how's your new home working out for you? Did you move to save money or another reason? I'm not sure who you're asking on that one. But hopefully he answers you. As a single person, no vices, you can. So that's my budget. If I decide to live there, no smoking or drinking with me. No, I mean, I'm not criticizing you at all, Everall. I just was surprised by the price. I mean, if that's what you want and that's what gives you the most pleasurable experience, then by all means go for it. I'm not here to judge anybody's budget. It's all about living for your own happiness and being content with what you can afford and what you can do and what helps you enjoy your every moment of your life. So I wasn't criticizing you. I was just taken aback by the price. That's all. Eastern Dreamer likes Filipino food. He's just rice, veggies, and fish. I do think it's best to cook at home to save money and for health preferences. Yeah, I mean, we do I love peanut bet. It's delicious, right? And so I try to cook that. I love the ginger and the garlic and which aren't necessarily Filipino. It's kind of a universal thing, but I've always cooked with ginger and garlic. But I try to replicate certain dishes that have a lot of those ingredients in it and enjoy it. I probably don't do it justice, but I really don't like all the oil that they use and the magic syrup. I prefer not to have those two ingredients specifically, so that's why I like to cook at home. Yeah, that'd be cool, Eastern Dreamer, when you get here to have your own place to cook, that you can kind of monitor it a little bit. Ben says he enjoys a good meal, but he's not a picky eater. Enjoyed beef. Yeah, that's becoming ever increasingly popular, that beef dish. And yeah, I'm adventurous. Have you eaten balut? Have you eaten the balut? I did. I ate the balut. I sure did. After all the years I was here, I finally broke down and ate one just so I could say that I had eaten one, and it wasn't that bad. It tasted like an egg with a little crunch to it. Tastes like a hard-boiled egg. Oh, let's see here. Ozzy says A plus in the Philippines is a medication at Robinson's. Yeah, easily accessible, I guess, huh? Um, and Ben says, Ben, my question about the new home was for you. Oh well, we just moved from an apartment to this apartment in January. Um, the reason why we moved is because where we were back there, which was fantastic as far as like the level of noise and the animals and things. There's this huge field. I don't know who owns it behind our apartment over there. And so there was no neighbors except for on one side of us, and the whole back field, hectares and hectares of just palm trees and other foliage and whatnot. And the only thing that really grazed back there was a couple of cows and herds of goats. So, and a nice breeze. So, loved it there. But it was far off the beaten path, and the road to that apartment was not paved. So, when it rained, sometimes you'd get some flooding. And when we had the kid, it was like, yeah, this really won't be conducive, to a stroller or anything like that. Not saying that you need a stroller, but I dig, putting a kid in a stroller and strolling him around the neighborhood and talking to him about everything that's, around him so he can observe and learn and whatever. And not have to carry him the whole time, right? So we just elected to move closer to the main road so we could have better access and avoid some of that hassle of the still like coral outcroppings and things, undeveloped. But fantastic area. And here, met a lot more people over here, made a lot of new friends, and it's just nicer to be closer to everything else, less of a travel. Favorite Filipino dish is kinila. I'm sure I've had it. I'm terrible with names. I just eat whatever is there. I say, hey, that looks good, give it to me. Yeah, man, definitely gotta watch out for what you eat. It's the oil and things like that can be a killer. Or, pack on the pounds and whatever. So it's good to try to have control of it. You can't eat a balut, Eastern Dreamer. Well, I didn't think that I could either. I kept saying absolutely not for over a decade, and I just refused to do it. And I did it when I first started my channel because I thought, hey, maybe I'll get views. But I literally got like 50 views on the video, so it wasn't really worth it. But in a sense, it was worth it because I actually did it, and I wasn't pleasantly surprised. I wouldn't go buy another one or anything like that. I wouldn't eat them, but it was not. It wasn't gross. Like I thought it would be like kind of gaggy, like trying to get it down. It wasn't like that. So surprised in that sense. So Tom says hello, my friend. Wish you a good weekend. Thank you, Tom. Wish you the same, my brother. Ozzy just gets the Filipino ladies to cook for him. First time eating scrambled eggs and corned beef hash, which is pretty popular here. But they buy that canned stuff, and I don't really dig that stuff. But yeah, can be delicious. Lami Maserat. Tom Tom asks, the Filipinos are sometimes pretty unreliable. Do you think it's possible to open a business with them? Um, I mean, you know, I don't know because I haven't done that. I think you're at a disadvantage if you don't speak fluent Bisaya. Um, and if you don't have, a grasp on the laws, then you have the ability to, again, be at a disadvantage. If at all possible, get a residence visa, and then you can just have a business of your own, or be married to someone, a Filipina. Um, but I don't know. I think that there are good and bad people everywhere, and there are unscrupulous people everywhere. The odds of you getting taken, in the States or in the West are just the same probably as getting taken here. So I don't know. I've never tried it, and I don't foresee myself ever trying it. I would do things on my own, but I probably wouldn't do a joint venture with someone that wasn't my family member or my wife or something. Um, hey, Jared's here. Nice to see you. Doing great, man. Thank you, and good to see you. Frank's asking Matt a question there. No, I did, Ben. I love my old place. It was very peaceful and had a nice, good breeze, but it was small. And this place is double the size for the same amount of money. And this place has free Wi-Fi. The other place didn't. Um, so we have a lot more space, and we have free Wi-Fi. So and it's closer to everything. So real big improvement in those aspects. So um, it's an improvement, definitely. Love the old place. Love the landlord there. Really nice and helpful. But I like this place a lot better. Um, Ozzy had fun with the Filipino ladies. They're fun and good for travel, and they keep me grounded in the Philippines. I mean, hey, that's one of the perks, right? um, and Brit in Oz says, greeting from Brisbane. Hey, Brit, welcome to the Philippines live stream. Hope all is well out there in Brisbane. Tom Tom says, would you say a Western man should have all of his money already earned, saved when he wants to retire in the Phillies, or are there some ways to have a decent income business? I mean, a really astute, business-minded person can rock it anywhere. Unfortunately for me, I'm not that kind of person. So I would not be good at doing those types of things and try to generate income. Um, as far as having a big, huge savings, I don't know what age you are. Um, I talked about that a lot in my latest video. Um, if you have a decent amount of savings, there's this benchmark that people think that you have to have, and if you have the ability to adapt and live more like a local, which a lot of people don't, then you could come here on less money. Um, and finding a viable, successful business is a challenge, and very more often than not a detriment to foreigner finance. I've known more people that have started businesses here and then ended up losing their shorts and having to leave the country entirely. Um, Steve says rice fields are great for regular income. Um, so there's that. And then and Matthew is answering Frank. So thanks for helping out Frank in his inquiry. Appreciate that. Oh yeah, Tom. I mean, I came here in my 40s, early 40s, and stayed here for. No, I came here when I was 40 actually, and I stayed here for almost 3 years. And then I went over to Guam and I worked for a while. Loved it there. It's fantastic. And I came back here for a little while again. And I went back to the States and made more money and then came back here. I didn't have a plan to stay here this long as I stayed, but I realized that the amount of money that I had, I could take it a lot further with my experience. So I'm not, trying to sway anybody to do anything in haste, but man, bro, Tom, 15 years is a long time, brother. And if you have, a decent amount of money and you can carry that through until your social kicks in, your social security or whatever, man, I would. I personally would, and I am doing that. So, and hopefully, I'm basically, and I admit it, I'm hoping that my YouTube channel grows large enough to where I can make a couple $100 a month off of it. If I can make a couple $100 a month off of it, that would be fantastic. If I could make $400 a month off of it, that would be phenomenal. And as of it stands right now, I'm lucky to make $100 a month, but I haven't even got my first payment. So Frank says, I'm 68, my Filipina girlfriend is 42, has a 20-year-old son, my daughter age 3, my budget's 25 a month with 50K savings. Frank, that's a fantastic amount. You should be able to hit that nail on the head and fly free, my brother. So hit it up and do your thing. Ben asks, I'm curious if you can talk about it. What kind of jobs do Filipinos have that live in the same type of housing as you do? Well, I suppose call centers are kind of the thing today with, especially the younger generation. So I've met a couple people that work in call centers and have comparable kind of living environment. But, and I know this sounds crazy, but my apartment here, the size of it, all around here would cost $8K a month. I'm paying $4. I just was fortunate and blessed to find this deal. I don't know how I really pulled it off, but comparable places to this place in size and amenities and things would be 7,000-8,000. So the people who live in similar environments tend to be call centers. There's a couple of policemen who make a little bit higher wage, and barangay officials, people like that. Yeah, thanks, Tom. I hope it's all about if I resonate with people, and it's hit or miss. It ebbs and flows. Sometimes I get a lot of people that resonate with me, and then maybe I'm not active enough and they fall off, and then a new kind of group of people will come around. But I've got people that have been with me since the beginning, and so I hope to gain traction eventually. Probably finance and healthcare. Oh yeah, sorry, I forgot nurses. Nurses are huge. I'm sorry, I'm getting sleepy. It's like after 1 a.m. here already, and I was up at 4 a.m. with the kid. But yeah, definitely nurses. I know a few nurses that live in nice places, especially in the subdivision over there. Um, in the subdivision over there, they got places for 10K a month, and they're 2 bedrooms. They're more like townhouses. So, 10K a month, and right over there, nurses definitely. Um, yeah, no, it's very very reasonable, Easter Dreamer. Scott says hello from Iowa. Hello, how are you? Um, would it be considered middle class? I guess 25K is not. I forget what the threshold is now. Um, but maybe lower middle class. Maybe lower middle class, something like that. Um, Tom says last time he was in the Philippines, a guy got murdered right in front of him. He had everything on video. Police lost it. Police gave me shit. They arrested him, but didn't show any interest in my video evidence. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not typically liking to talk about those types of subjects, but I know that those kind of areas need to be improved upon. That's pretty dramatic and horrific that you witnessed that thing. Wrong place at the wrong time there, brother, man. That sucks. GSS, how about rats, cockroaches, and snakes? They're definitely cockroaches. We got the geckos all over the place, the tokay geckos. Don't know what a tokay gecko is? Watch one of my shorts where I befriended this lizard, tokay gecko, and he would let me pet him, and I would be petting him, and then I decided to film it. So I'm like, check out this lizard. He loves me, and he's my great friend. And next thing you know, he turned around and he bit me, and drew blood from my finger and everything. So we got those lizards there, but they're usually harmless. But they make this noise I call chicken frog because they kind of sound like a chicken / frog. They go bark, 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 bark. And those are the tokay geckos. They're really actually kind of cool. So we got those rats. I haven't seen rats except for like restaurants or hanging outside the dumpsters at the mall or something like that. I've seen little mice in people's houses, but not big fat rats. And snakes, not so much in Cebu, out here in Cordoba. They don't have poisonous ones out here. They've got the occasional boa, but they've been hunted out. Like, people, if they see them, they'll eat them. There was recently, well, I say recently, it was about 6 months ago, there was a cobra found in Cebu City. But of course that probably came in, in a transport from another island, because the cobras usually don't habitate here. Tom says it was gang related. Yeah, I mean that sounds like it probably would be like a true hit or something. Pretty hardcore. And the drug thing, that's typically where you run into that kind of madness, that kind of nonsense. Let's see here. Cruise ship Beanie Baby says, you showed your apartment. Hard to believe you are happy about that place. Why is it hard to believe? That's what I don't get. I don't mean to get, stiff about it, but man, when I was 18 years old, when I was 17 years old, my mom kicked me out of the house because I had long hair. And I refused to cut it. And she told me, go to church, cut your hair, or you get out of here. She found a Penthouse magazine under my mattress. And I had taken one of the centerfolds and put it on my wall. And she was just furious about it. So she kicked me out. I was 17 years old. I didn't have work permit. I didn't have ID. I didn't have anything. So I was kicking it around, you know, in downtown Portland, trying to figure out things, and eventually, I didn't like, you know, sleeping, you know, wherever and trying to find a place to sleep. And sometimes I'd, you know, sleep in Pioneer Square and crap before they started kicking people out. And it was a drag, so I hated it. So I eventually went and I lied to some guy to get him to hire me at a gas station. He paid me under the table. And my first apartment was a pay by the week, tiny little box that didn't even have its own bathroom. And let me tell you, that was roughing it, right? This here, I've got this main room right here. Then behind me, right back here, I've got a big bedroom. Then I've got a cooking area with a bathroom, and then a back sitting area with a table and a couch. I don't see what the problem is with it, man. The other Filipino apartments that people stay in are literally like 10 by 10 little spaces, and you're paying the same price, sometimes 3,000. But this place is double the size of that for the same price. So I feel like I'm doing good in that regard. Scott's doing good, planning his adventures. That's awesome. Word of advice, don't date ladies from the PNP, just saying, says Ozzy. Lizard equals... Yeah, but mostly when I was in Luzon, where they speak Tagalog, they just have the little ones. But these ones here are like big, huge. You know, they get up to like 16 inches, and they're pretty cool to watch. Middle class is 30K. Yeah, sounds about right. What can you tell us about Butuan? Would like to visit there too. I can't tell you anything about it because I've never been there. Sorry. Frank asks, speaking of cockroaches and snakes, any news update on Paul Cardwell? No, I know nothing about it, and I get asked, you know, every now and then since all that, and I have heard nothing. I know that somebody told me that there was a comment from his account on his very last video, and he said, "I'm okay," something to that effect, and there'll be an update soon. That was like 2 months ago. And that's the only piece of new info that I know of. I tried to go back there, and they wouldn't even let me approach this time. They were like, "Turn off your camera," and blah blah blah. So it was not worth it. So no, I don't know anything about it. Have you been around Makati? If so, would you consider it to be wheelchair accessible? Back when I was around there wasn't much modernization in that regard as far as wheelchairs go, but I'm sure things have changed since then. Makati is, you know, more high dollar these days, and more worldly, I guess you could say. And I haven't been there though. It's been years and years since I've been up there, so I don't know how it is now, but I'm sure somebody on here can tell you a little bit more about it. Cruise ship Beanie Baby is a troll. His profile pictures of Mark Thornton. Figures. Yeah, you know, whatever. If he gets to be too unruly, we'll mute him. Yeah, you know, I don't know why these people do what they do. Bored, nothing better to do. I have no idea. But why impersonate Mark? It's kind of weird. Tom asks if I'm happy with my local government. They're great. I'm not allowed to talk positive or negative about my local government. I know the people that I know that are involved in it are fantastic people, and I get along great with them. Had dinner with my buddy lives over here, and he's part of the local government. He's great. Is the infrastructure, streets, garbage collection good? I always thought that the trash business, recycling, would be a business opportunity for the Phillies. As far as like the streets and whatnot, here in Cordoba, they're fine. No huge floods ever. Lapu-Lapu is much, much worse. The trash collection is once a week, and people just pile their garbage on the side of the road, and then a truck comes and picks it up. So it's not exactly the most modernized kind of system, but it's better than it used to be, that's for sure. Ozzy says he saw the blog on your spot. Looks great for the price and your family. Thanks, Ozzy. I mean, it works for me. I'm, you know, I'm not super, you know, concerned about those kind of things. But I like it here. So, Zoomer. And GS likes my minimalist, budget-friendly approach. Maybe you have answered this. Can I ask how you get income while living there? Sure, you can ask. Well, I came here with a goodly chunk of change. And I have a rental property in Oregon that sometimes makes me money if they pay me, and sometimes they don't pay me. So typically, you know, since I have no way to really come down on them, I could evict them, you know, but even that's kind of a process being, you know, so remote. So sometimes they don't pay me for a couple of months, but when they do pay me, it's like, you know, a couple $1,000. So it's a nice, you know, woohoo, right? So that helps, but I'm still paying, you know, a monthly payment on that place too. So it's not like I get all that $2,000 in profit. It's not, but my mortgage is always paid on time. So when I get that chunk of change, it's like gravy, right? And I'm working on doing other things too online, and I'm hoping, like I said before, that this YouTube thing can start generating some income for me. So that's why I started the channel to begin with. And people say, "Oh, you just want to make money." Well, yeah. I mean, who doesn't, right? You join, and it's not easy to do YouTube and to keep, you know, content going and to make the videos and edit and all that crap, you know, and pay close attention to your followers and answer all the comments and things. I'm not saying it's a hard job or anything, don't get me wrong, but you know, there's some effort put into it. So, you know, the more effort you put into it, you hope that it'll pay off for you. And but mostly, I always say I got a mind full of questions, but I have a teacher in my soul. So it's always been, you know, something that I've enjoyed doing. I like to I've always spoken publicly about subjects and been, you know, active in issues and things, and always been very vocal. So I like having a voice, and it's really fulfilling for me, you know. So I enjoy, you know, giving out information, and it's cool when people come back and they say, "Oh, that was really helpful." I like that too, so that's a good aspect of it. Home is where the heart is. I lived 38 years out of a tractor trailer. Have no issues in living in small areas. I mean, bro, I get you. You know, like I mentioned earlier, my first apartment was a tin can, you know, a little tiny box, and it was terrible and had roaches and no bathroom or anything. But growing up, we did all kinds of camping and fishing. We were always out in nature. And when I got older and had, a better job and was able to pay for things, I did that stuff too. But especially, I love to go mining and spend, a week, a month, 3 months out in a tent with grizzly bears and nature, and I loved that aspect of it. So I suppose that's why it's a lot easier for me too to stay in a smaller place where people are just be like, oh, there's no way I could do it. When you do that kind of stuff, you learn to appreciate a roof over your head, a dry roof over your head, and a place where you can do your business in the bathroom and have access to a shower. So all these things are like great to me when you consider a guy up in Alaska bathing in a freezing cold creek once a week or however often he can tolerate it, because it's so dang cold, right? I need something to drink. Thank you, Tom. I mean, that's just me. It's not contrived or anything. I've been around and I've learned what to care about and what not to. You pick your own battles on things, right? And yeah, my mom kicked me out when I was 17. So, and you were kicked out when you were 15, so you have similar kind of story. There's a vast difference between 15 and 17, right? So at 15 it must have been significantly harder. That's what I did too, Frank. I rented out one of those pay by the week places, and I think at the time it was like, gosh, I don't remember. I think it was like $120 or something like that a week, which, back then I think I was only making $800 a week, if that. I don't remember. Minimum wage is really low, but so yeah, man. I mean, you do what you got to do, and you pull up your bootstraps, and you either sink or swim, right? And some of us we don't like to sink, and we learn how to swim. So that's admirable, Frank. Good for you. And Mac 10 has great area for wheelchair and nice condos. Thanks for that input, Ozzy. That should be helpful. An Eastern Dreamer was tossed out. We were just a bunch of homeless street kids, man. What's going on in here? Eastern Dreamer, awesome to have you hang out on the chat tonight. I'm going to be joining you in that slumber here pretty soon. I'm getting pretty drained and tired. But it was really cool to have your engagement and to have all your discussions and your input. So thanks a lot, bro. And sleep well. Tom asked me, what would I do if I won $10,000 in the lottery? Well, honestly, I wouldn't do anything. I just put it in the bank and live off of it. As far as invest, I probably wouldn't. I could live off of 10 grand for 2 years here, now that I know what I'm doing. Maybe 18 months. So I probably wouldn't want to risk it with too much of investment. But I do have a financial guy that is a good friend of mine. He was a professor at North Carolina University in economics. So he's always telling me to give him $5 grand. I don't think I would want to give him half of it, but maybe I could give him 2 or something. I don't know. More than likely, I would just live off of it. And Ozzy says, I'm from the Northwest, party a lot in Lincoln City. I used to do a lot of fishing in Lincoln City when I was a little boy. My dad loved going there. We'd fish off the rocks and catch those little sea perch and things. And yeah, great clam chowder and the whole deal. It's fantastic area. Lovely area. I love that. Yeah, thanks Ozzy for the input on MacTown. That's fantastic. Thanks for your answer. What's your best advice for avoiding all the gold diggers and scammers so I can find a good and honest Filipina there? Okay, well, there's no foolproof method. I was trying to set up one of my subscribers. He told me he was going to come here, and I got him set up at an apartment, and started talking to my friends. Hey, do you have a cousin? It's nice, and things like that. And um, I met 3 people, and I kind of pre-screened them before I forwarded him their info, and they were all lying. Some of them had 3 kids, and they said they had 0, and they had multiple Facebooks and stuff. I think the best approach is to get here with your slippers on the ground. Slippers are, flip-flops, but they call them slippers here. So get your slippers here on the ground and start meeting people at the mall, in the restaurants. It's that's not foolproof either. We met a girl, he and I together, and she gave him her Facebook. And then after looking through and searching her name, she had 3 Facebooks, and one of them she had a boyfriend. So, there's no foolproof way. Unfortunately, as foreigners, we do kind of have that little bit of a target on our back. But I always recommend, talking to your neighbors, talking to somebody who, you feel like you can trust. It would be a good advocate and a matchmaker. That's one way. But mostly just put yourself out there and just start talking to as many of them as you can, and just scrutinize them as much as you can. There's always going to be a risk in love. Love is never a guarantee with anyone. And there are gold diggers and scammers wherever you are in the world. So, how many older guys divorce their, get a divorce from their long-term wife and end up marrying a trophy wife, and then getting divorced 2 years later, and the trophy wife took everything that they had, or half of whatever they had. So these things happen everywhere. But my best advice, actually, let me just put a stamp on it, is go slow as you can. Don't rush. Yeah. Does Grab work in your area? The app to order food and a driver. It sure does. And I never really used it up until about 6 months ago. But yeah, it's fantastic, actually. Because out here in Cordova, one thing that is tough is getting getting taxis in and out of here. So you can walk up and hail one, but you got to wait for one to drive out. And since we're so far removed from it, there'd been times that I'd be waiting like 30 minutes in the boiling heat to get a taxi, and that's just a drag. So download a Grab, and you can just wait in your apartment for the taxi to come right to you. So that's a good app to have, and I've used the food thing a couple times too, and works out really good. Never had a problem with it, in fact. Mm-hmm. Mactan's good, he says. Ozzy says. They just built a great area with modern condos overlooking the ocean. You will like it, and the neighborhood has good restaurants. That's Mactown, Newtown, I think. Cruise Ship Beanie says, take it easy, chubby. Thank you, brother. You take it easy, too. I was kicked out at 16, got my GED, joined the Navy, and then went trucking. Now I'm retired and coming back to the Philippines. Now that is a success story. Success story, Scott. Good job for you, and being resilient and using your wits and your brains, man, and sticking to the course. Ben asks, how did I end up settling in the area that I'm currently in? Well, it's funny, I was looking into the area, and I stayed up in the province in Luzon, and I was literally like one of the only foreigners there, and it was really, really chill. And my now wife she lived in a province outside of Cebu City, about an hour plus outside of there, up in the mountains. And she didn't know much about down here in Cebu City either. So I just got on Google I got on Facebook Marketplace and started looking at available places, and I found an apartment on Facebook Marketplace that was in my. I liked the price of it. It was really cheap and it was doable for us. So I got on. I clicked the little map, and then I ended up going to Google Maps and doing a virtual walkthrough of this very area. And I'm like, man, that place is pretty cool. Doesn't look like a lot of traffic, all these things, And so essentially I found it on Marketplace, and I had a couple months to kind of read about it and look it up and occasionally check out the area, And that's how I ended up finding it, was through Facebook Marketplace and then Google Earth. So, most Filipinos have at least 2 Facebook accounts. The more accounts you find, the more you should question their character. Yeah, man. I mean, I knew my ex had like 7. After the fact, I discovered that, and this is crazy. And the one girl that I was trying to set him up with, she had 4. So, 97420 Empire 420. I want to be a beach bum, so Bohol are the beaches around Davao, West, and 2 places to check out on my first trip. I got friends that live in Bohol and they love it. So highly recommended. Me personally, I don't like the places where there are tourist traps and there are a lot of foreigners. And unfortunately, a lot of these fantastic areas are now just getting bombarded with tourists, and the prices are just going up, up, up. Tom asked, did I ever have visited the Center of Dirt, Angeles? No, never visited it. Scout's honor, never did. Never had a reason to. I'd never really attracted to that kind of whole pay scene, like when we were younger, Portland was like the strip bar capital per capita of the United States. It had more strip clubs than any place in the United States, and a lot of those girls would always, want to pay to play, and some of my friends would do it. To me, it just kind of creeped me out. So, real paranoid of STDs and all that crap, and it's just never been my thing, so I never went there. Although, I've seen some pretty awesome pictures and read some stories and stuff like that, and sure, it could be fun and all that crap, but I don't think I could partake in it. And Steve is from Bohol, so he says he recommends it. Frank asks if I have any info on dental implants. Yeah, I do. I just had to get this tooth right here extracted, and I'm gonna have an implant installed into it. As far as like pricing goes, it's gonna be about $400, but I'm getting the zirconia. Like these are zirconia veneers. These ones right here too. And zirconia is like a step up from porcelain, so they're more durable and less stains, stuff like that. I don't really remember, but yeah, dental implants are about a third less if you go to a reputable dentist. And trust me, when I was here 10 years ago, I went to the terrible dentist and everything fell apart after I was back in the States like a year and a half. Everything I had done, fillings fell out. It was a nightmare. I had to go spend a bunch more money in Western prices and stuff like that just to repair the damage that hokey dentist in the Philippines did. So if you're gonna want long-lasting dental work, then you should be not scrutinize the price too much. It should be a third of what a dental implant costs here or in the States, and that's still a lot. But it's significantly cheaper than the States, so you should be willing to pay that if you want longevity and no hiccups or problems, down the line. San Miguel or Red Horse? I'm not a drinker, but I didn't drink for 23 years. I did the other thing. I'm from Oregon, so I think you can figure it out. But I put alcohol on the back burner because it would just make me crazy and I'd get into trouble. So never was a fan of it. But admittedly, since I've been here this time, I've drank a few times, and after all these years. And one time I got too drunk, and I don't like to talk about it too much, but I did. I drank too much because my tolerance is way down. But I did that, and I would say that I don't like the flavor of a Red Horse, but I think San Miguel tastes a little bit more refined or something. But I'm not a big drinker. I don't drink very often, or if ever. Anyways, yes, it's much cheaper. And you're welcome, Frank. I paid a lot of money for all this. I really did. It was like a huge expense. So, if ever you have any questions about it, feel free to email me. I can refer you to a really good dentist. But you're going to pay, it's going to cost you for sure. Let's see here. Not going to escape the skin tax all the way. The need to find a balance between the distance to health and cost of low-key life of snorkeling, swimming on a safe beach with low or no entrance fee. Now, you're not going to escape the skin tax in that regard if you're doing those kind of things. But after time, I know the prices here. So there's no wool being pulled over my eyes at this stage, at this juncture, I know everything about everything. I know the prices of jeepneys, taxis, fish, bananas, etc., etc. So my local life, I didn't escape it, but I just learned. So they can't do anything with me on that. And they sometimes do try, they'll throw out some exorbitant amount for a kilo of fish, and I just laugh. And I never argue or say anything negative because, you don't want them to lose face or anything. So I just go, oh, okay, no problem. Then I go to the next person right next door who I've probably bought from, umpteen times, and they give me a lower price, tell me the real price. So that's pretty much how it works. Do I have a decent doctor, general practitioner, who prescribes you everything that you want? Because I have a damaged disc. That's why I depend on opioids, so I need a doctor who is willing. I haven't seen a doctor since I was in my 20s. I'm not a big fan of the medical industry. I've always self-medicated via herbs and home remedies, and that has served me well. I'm learning more about local medicines in the form of herbs here, and I apply those kind of methods to my health issues if I have them. I slipped my disc, I think anyways, around Christmas time. And I have tingling in my leg and a massive sciatica kind of thing going on all the time. But I know that pretty much I just need to lose weight and get in shape to remedy that, and maybe get somebody to pop my back real good. I don't know, but no, I don't have a line on any doctor, and I don't really know much about that. I know that the opioid thing is going to be a stretch. It's going to be difficult. I've heard other people try to do it, um, and it could be quite a challenge. Yeah. Um, exactly. It's an interesting approach for sure. Um, no, you don't. That's the irony of it. You there's kind of this culture that you can do those things. You can fib a little, and that's just common. And you if you call somebody out in public, you're challenging them, and you can embarrass them. So confrontation, I've just learned through experience over the years that you just don't do it. It's not worth the risk. And like I said earlier, I don't sweat the small stuff, and I pick my battles. The only time I really lost my cool was with a taxi driver when we were coming back from Dumaguete. He tried to grab my phone because he thought I was recording him when he was trying to overcharge us, which I wasn't. And I got a little bit vocal and aggressive back to him, which I regretted in hindsight because it could have turned out poorly for me. No matter what, you don't get in a fight with a Filipino. You're always going to be in the wrong. And it got kind of close to that, but we eventually just hightailed it out of his taxi and found a different one. Um, so yeah, it's true. I just don't argue. And after time, things just like that just fly off my shoulders like a duck feathers in water. Just don't care about it anymore. Because the overwhelming majority of interactions I have are fantastic. But no place can be perfect. But the amount of negative interactions I have are significantly reduced here than anywhere I've ever lived in my life. So, medical care here is terrible. Don't have an accident, but they will sell you any drugs you want. Sometimes no paperwork. Well, Steve knows the drill on that. So that's good info, Steve. Thanks. Ozzy says, great memories from Oregon. I was there when Mount St. Helens blew up in Portland. Awesome. I was stationed in Fort Lewis, airborne all the way. Great party. Loved the country breakfast. That's funny. I fell out of a tree when I was younger and landed on my head and crushed a bunch of vertebrae in my back. So I went through all kinds of therapy. And the day that I got out of the hospital, we were driving home. My dad's 63 Chevy. And we see, this plume coming out of the mountain. And so that was May 18th, 1980, when it blew. I'll never forget that because that's the day I got out of the hospital, too. So, fantastic. Banana. Saging. This cost me 3 pesos. And what's crazy about it is, I'm just going off on a tangent here because I'm super sleepy. But Filipinos don't like to eat these ones. They're really big ones. But for some reason, the reason why they're so cheap is because they are green and the peel doesn't turn yellow. So they're super duper affordable, but they're a banana. There's nothing different about them, right? They're exactly the same. So, whereas you can buy a kilo of bananas for 45 to 75 per kilo, and they're usually the smaller, whatever they call them, I forget, the little tiny ones. They're yellow. You can get a kilo of those, but I can buy 3 kilos of these, almost 3 kilos of these for 45 to 50 pesos. 3 kilos. Anyways, that's my little tangent, my little rant. Ben, it takes some time. I know when I was younger and I came here, I was a little bit more aggressive, and when the trike guys would give me grief, or quote me a price and then demand more, I would get in arguments with them and stuff. But over time, I learned how to navigate through that stuff, and I need something to drink, man. And now, I just don't encounter those issues anymore. Tom Tom says, is it silent in your place at night? I always have the problem that the roosters torture me during the nighttime when I'm in the Philippines. Also, how is the general noise level at your place? Well, my property is shared by two people who live here. And I actually profiled the apartment in a potential rent for my subscribers, which I ended up renting the place. So you can look through and see, a video of this place when I do a walkthrough. So people say, "Oh, you don't pay $80 or $75 for that place," but you can hear it out of the landlord's mouth that he says the price. So it's I'm not lying about it. But he has 4 dogs outside and 1 dog inside. And so, they make a lot of noise sometimes. But I don't know if you can hear, but it's been relatively quiet. Before, when I lived here, not in Cebu, but up in Luzon, I lived right next to a cockfighting place. And so the roosters were just non-stop, all night long. And the first couple weeks, it was really, really difficult for me to sleep. But then I learned how to just sleep through it. And now I don't even hear them. In fact, I like it. If I hear them, it doesn't bother me. Scott says, I spent a year in Portland at the shipyard back in 83, 84. Beautiful city back then. Traveled all around the St. Helens. Was a disaster zone. Yeah. Now Portland and that whole area is just a crap hole. Before I came to the Philippines, I rented out my house in Oregon, and I hadn't lived in Portland for about 5 years. I went to Portland. It was after, the pandemic and everything, and there were, the riots and whatnot had happened. Portland had big, huge riots. Everything was blown up, and there were just tweakers everywhere. And the zombies on their fentanyl just leaned over like, and trying to break into my car. Terrible. Absolutely terrible. So it's not like it used to be. It's a lot different now in Portland. It's a shame. Steve isn't here. Planes in Bohol. We hear him sometimes because we're on MacTan, but they're not super nuisance. But I also lived in Jansen Beach in Oregon, right by the airport. I think I got used to all kinds of stuff. I don't know, you guys, man. Yeah, the rooster fights, man. That can be a thing. Is Cebu region earthquake area? A friend of mine got a decent offer for a house, but refused because of possible earthquakes. I haven't really read about it too much. I suppose I should look that up because some people on one of my latest videos asked me about that. Maybe even been you, I don't know. But since I've been here almost 2 years now, we had a tremor, but the earthquake struck Leyte, and somehow we felt it here in Cebu. So since I've been here, there hasn't been a lot of activity, but there may be fault lines here. I don't really know. I'll try to read about that tomorrow when I get some sleep. Yeah, Portland it really was a nice city in the old days, but then it became what it is today, which is complete contrast. But Guess that happens. It's life in the big city. I mean, now there's like record amount of murders there. Tom, thank you, brother. Appreciate you. And I hope you have a good night, and I hope to see you next time. I'll try to do it again next weekend. Maybe even sooner. I hit it in the early morning, so it'd be your evening in the nighttime on a weekday. I'll try that. Yeah, man. America is just a shell of what it used to be. It's, Babylon 2024. Who knows how long it'll last. You can hear the rooster. Yeah. They're out there. But I don't know. I just tune them out. To me, it's like, it reminds me of living in the country, which I love that kind of wildlife vibe. Anyways, you guys, I'm super duper sleepy. I think we're at like, what time is it? It's 2:36 a.m. And so I must sleep. So my son's probably gonna wake up at 5, and so it's gonna be a long day for me. But hey, I love it. It's fantastic. It's just par for the course, and a lot of times I'm up editing a video anyways at this hour. So it was very, very awesome live stream. I appreciate it. Thank you, Ben. Thank you, Ozzy, Tom, and Mossberg for the $4 sticker. That was fantastic. I love that. It's great. If anybody wants to, help me not be the bum that everybody says I am, feel free to join my membership. I make like $4 off of it per month. I don't know. I'm not begging or e-begging or anything like that, but I did add that to my channel. So if you want to join up a membership, if I get a big enough, grouping, then I'll do like special videos, request videos, things like that. But right now I have one membership, and his name's Paul. And shout out to Paul. He's been a devoted member, and it's fantastic. So, anyways, you guys, I appreciate you, Frank. I appreciate everybody that's been engaging here, and I'm glad you found my channel too. And let's just keep this rolling. Let's try to build up a community. I'm always here and available to answer any questions you have. You can email me. I've helped many of my subscribers actually come here and go through their visit. I've helped them with hotels. I've helped them renting apartments. I've helped them meet girls. I try to go the extra mile because I want everybody to have a positive experience here in the Philippines. So whatever I can do for you, I will make my best effort to do for you. And consider, Steven's request for a hard drive. He's in Bohol, and he would really appreciate getting a hard drive and maybe the RAM stick if you have an old computer lying around if you live in the Philippines. So good night, good day, everybody, and bless you all, and we'll see you soon next time. All right, take care.